And welcome to another installment of the Piledriver Podcast. As you are all aware, I am the macho white man. Oh yeah. And I'm here today joined by Maximania. He's running wild on YouTube.
Yes, sir.
And I'm pretty
So,
sure you can guess by today's topic and by what today's date is. Today is the anniversary of when Bray Wyatt made his triumphant return back to the WWE after a long hiatus.
yes, sir. Just want to send a special tribute to the late Wyndham Rotunda, aka Bray Wyatt. And it was about a year. It is a return to WWE. And just about a month ago, he tragically passed away and suddenly passed away at the young age. I think it was 39. I can't remember. I shouldn't say if it's not on the top of my head, but yes, today, and of it being a year since he returned to the WWE last year, we are gonna pay tribute to him on the episode of Piledriver.
And I'm sure some of you are aware, the last few updates on my channel, the last couple of hours, have been nothing but tribute episodes to Bray Wyatt. I actually re-uploaded our reaction from when he returned to Extreme Rules last year, which was reluctantly taken down the first time, and hopefully it doesn't get taken down again, because
Yeah,
I don't know why he got taken down the first time, but that's neither here nor there.
yeah. So, and fun fact on the Go Home episode for Extreme Rules last year, the hype man here actually went and cosplayed as the Fiend at that Raw just 5 days before he returned. Fun fact: people actually thought he was a plant by the WWE,
No, I
but
was not a plan.
we were there dead in center, and yeah, he blew up with that all over Twitter with that cosplay being talked about all night. That was back on October last year.
Another fun fact here is that Maximania here has actually met Bray Wyatt before. Tell us a little
Yes,
bit
sir.
about there, Max.
March 17th, 2017. I went to World of Wheels um, car show in Minneapolis, and back on World of Wheels, they did car shows all around the country, and they still do, not as many cities as they used to. And they actually had a deal with WWE where they were able to do meet and greets at their car shows. They kind of had a partnership like so. That year, they actually had Bray Wyatt, who was the WWE champion at that time. Just a month earlier, he had won the Elimination Chamber and won the WWE title. And he came here, did an autograph signing, and I got there probably hours early.
How many
It's
hours?
probably 2 or 3 hours early.
Yowie, wowie.
Yeah, I went right after. So right when school was over, I hopped on a bus and I was heading downtown because I was getting there, and there was probably about 20, 25 people. But when I met him, it's just he was a great guy. I really didn't have a long, much of an opportunity to say much, but from what I saw of the few people he met before, when I had the chance to meet him, he had nothing but love for. Pretty soft spoken, so not super out, but that's just kind of how he was based on interactions I've seen people had with him. And yeah, he was. I got a chance to touch the actual WWE Championship, and yeah, it was. He was a great guy, but his memory is going to live on um, with all the moments he created.
Yeah, let's get into some of those moments. I mean, the first moment for me would have to be his first rivalry when the Wyatt family first debuted, they started feuding with WWE Hall of Famer Kane, and which led to a Ring of Fire match at SummerSlam.
Yeah, and actually, another thing about that, when the Wyatt family made their debut, it will always be ingrained in my brain very specifically because they made their debut on July 8th, 2013, which was my 15th birthday. So I'll always remember my 15th birthday. The Wyatt family came and made an impact against Kane. And yes, that Ring of Fire match, I don't know why they called it. They should have just called it an Inferno match, but that's neither here or there. It was they made quite an impact when they came in, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, another great rivalry involving Bray Wyatt would have to be the infamous three-way feud between the two most dominant trios factions in WWE back in 2004. And yes, I'm talking about the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, and Luke Harper, and Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, The Shield.
Yes, sir.
And we were both at that event when they first squared off at Elimination Chamber 2014, although we didn't know each other at the time. And
Yeah,
this is
home.
Bray Wyatt. Get your butt out of the camera. Sorry, my cat's here trying to photobomb our episode. Anyways, just before that match, I had gone to the restroom. I had left my seat, and as I come out of the restroom, my blowing up because I can hear fans screaming because walking right in front of me is all three members of the Shield. Because at the time they were making their entrance to the crowd. So
I remember. I think it was probably 2 weeks before that Elimination Chamber event. When I was watching SmackDown, they were kind of subtly teasing Wyatt family versus match for Elimination Chamber, and that was a highly desired match by a lot of fans. And I always thought, I'm like, it's not going to happen. I thought that would be something that they would actually save for WrestleMania because of the magnitude of it. But when they announced it was going to be at the Elimination Chamber and I was going to be there to see it, oh man, I was already hyped. And man, it lived up to the potential. I'll tell you that much. That was one of the, when I've met Rowan on a few different occasions, and most recently, I told him, I was like, that out of all the matches I've ever seen live or in person, that just is one of there are only a handful of matches I've seen in person, particularly where I could say it was one of the best matches I've ever seen, and that's definitely in 5, if not the top 3.
yeah, I can see why you think that. I mean, I've also met Eric Owen a few times, and the first time I met him was earlier this year, but I didn't talk to him about Bray Wyatt at all. I actually talked to him about Luke Harper, Brody Lee, John Huber, whatever you want to call him.
Was that at Taste?
What's that?
Was that at Taste of Minnesota?
Yes, it was. So I had actually asked him about what his fondest memory of him was, and the second time I saw him, I didn't want to ask him about Bray Wyatt because this was during the week of Saturday Night Nitro, and
It was very.
yeah, it was still very fresh. I mean, we talked about this subject on our last episode of our Piledriver Podcast, but he did Eric Rowan or Eric Redbeard. Sorry, he goes by too many names.
To be honest, I'm used to saying.
He did see the sign that I made for him, and he actually got that on the pay-per-view, so I thought that was pretty cool, because for those of you that didn't see it on Fight TV, we were there for Saturday Night Nitro, and after Eric Rowan's match, he saw a sign in the crowd that said for Bray Wyatt, and he got the cameraman to get a shot of that while the fans had their phones out, the Fireflies, while everyone was singing. He's got the whole world in his hands.
It was a very awesome moment and a great tribute to Bray Wyatt. And then, sorry, I didn't mean to backtrack, but it came into my mind. So I've met Rowan on a few occasions, as have you, because he's from our hometown. But yeah, and then I've met Bray Wyatt. That said, and this slipped my mind. It was a super action. I actually beat the late Brody Lee, aka Luke Harper, aka John Huber. When Raw was here, 2014. I remember it was like 2014. I was out at the Target Center, and I think I was a teenager, so I was just kind of walking around, wandering around, and they have a gym, the basement of that arena, and I was just kind of the staff there was actually like not super. I was just kind of low thing, and then the lady that worked at the gym, she just walking around, and I was like, oh, okay, so no problem. As I'm going up the stairs, I look up, and there's Brody Lee, and I was like, hey, I was like, great to meet you. Any chance I get a photo? Again, he was kind of the same as Bray Wyatt, pretty soft spoken, but he was a gentleman. So it was really awesome to meet him too, and a pleasure that I've had the chance to meet all three of them. And it's really sad that two of them are gone now, but we're one of the most iconic trios teams of the 2010s.
Yeah, most definitely. But let's not forget, the Wyatt family never just consisted of Bray, Bray, Eric,
there was more.
and Brody.
Wrong. I'm talking more the original.
Yes, the original is always the best, but they also added in honorary members such as Daniel Bryan. When Bray Wyatt had his infamous feud with Daniel Bryan, this was like right before the Wyatt family started feuding with the Shield, actually.
Yeah, Randy Orton was one of them.
Yes, which led to an amazing match between him and Bray at WrestleMania 33, which was actually, you were actually there at that event for that.
I was, yeah.
I gotta ask you, what was it like seeing that match live, especially with all the creepy effects that was going on inside the mat and all that jazz?
I really didn't get a good look at everything going on inside the ring. When you're there in person, they have that shot of the ring of all the effects happening on the ring mat. When you're there in person, you can't really see it that well. You're watching that shot on a screen, but you're not actually seeing it because it's when you're looking at the ring, you're getting a good angle of that. Yeah, but it was no, it was that honestly, it was really cool to see that match. It definitely wasn't one of my favorite matches that night. I thought it could have been better, but it was still the story leading up to it was what mattered to me because I liked the story I had going in it, and I think we were talking about honorary members. I know I wasn't. I know here. The SmackDown where Randy Orton burned down the Wyatt compound.
Yes, I was there for that. I was in the crowd that night when Bray Wyatt lost his mind as the home of Sister Abigail was burned to ash.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot of that just goes both. We have a lot of great memories, not just of Bray, but as of the Wyatt family in general. So it's definitely great chance to pay tribute to him, and yeah, I mean,
But it wasn't just honorary members that made him very unique. It was also when he stepped away from the Wyatt family and started feuding with big names such as The Undertaker.
yeah, yeah.
Who could ever forget the way he challenged The Undertaker? And he trolled fans into believing that The Undertaker was actually at Fastlane, I believe. And when the casket opened and he sat head up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember watching that one. Yeah, I remember it was funny. That was a good moment. Unfortunately, I remember it kind of because at the time, uh, my internet was so terrible, and this is like still within the first year of WWE Network coming out. Pay-per-views lagged so much. So the first so many pay-per-views I watched were I could even watch because I constantly getting a load tells us, but I do remember that moment.
It wasn't so.
That led into WrestleMania 1.
Yeah, but another great feud he had was with Woken Matt Hardy.
Yep, they faced and eventually became a tag team.
Another great oddball tag team. Like we were just talking about Fastlane and how last night not K Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso won the tag team titles, and you said it yourself earlier that odd pairings make the greatest tag teams, and the Deleter of Worlds is definitely one of the most underrated tag teams of all time.
Yeah, it was a really good. And it's funny because I didn't really it was underrated. Yes, I didn't really think an oddball pairing because they were both kind of dark in their own way. I really view it as like an oddball, but yes, underrated is I would definitely say. I liked the Deleter of Worlds. That was a unique team, and I believe it wasn't shortly after the Deleter of Worlds disbanded that we come to the next chapter of Bray Wyatt's career.
Yeah.
Where break in 2018 for a while, and 2019. I'll let you talk about what do you. I think we all know.
Yes, it started out with these cryptic videos of these puppets. That's first it started off with a box and a buzzard inside, and then like a weird witch doll, and then suddenly he get introduced to the Firefly Funhouse version of Bray Wyatt, and all I can say about that is yowie wowie.
I'll tell you this much: and this is crazy because the Firefly Funhouse version of Bray, that whole thing, one of my favorite things in WWE has ever done or produced. I'm behind it, but I will tell you this: after because I think those vignettes started shortly after WrestleMania 35. I saw those and the rumblings that it was Bray Wyatt. I thought it was about the stupidest, and I was wrong because I thought, what the heck is this Mister Rogers type crap that's happening? Like I didn't know what to expect, but the way it was produced and he was the mind behind it of just how thing was and this like schizophrenic version of Bray Wyatt where he was this happy sunshine firefly fun, but he had the dark side of the fiend. I loved it, and I was wrong about it. And it didn't. It took me less than a week. I was wrong about it because it was awesome.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. I mean, at first I hated it too because I honestly thought it was just another bad idea from Vince McMahon, but then when I saw
Yeah,
that Bray Wyatt was actually getting creative with it, using his creative minds and just bringing it to life, it just made me more excited to watch every single week. Honestly, it made me feel like a kid again in a,
yeah. It was,
well, very creepy like way, but a kid again nonetheless.
and one of the first feuds was with Finn Balor, which they had an awesome match at SummerSlam 2019. And I think the saddest part is for me that we never the Demon.
Yeah, we never got the Demon Balor against the Fiend Bray Wyatt, but the way the Fiend debuted, targeting Bray Wyatt and targeting Finn Balor, whoops, I mean, just the way the two who started out feuding, like the whole arena went dark, and then you hear that horrific screeching sound. and then the light flashing on and off, and it honestly just brought the Fiend character to life, and the crowd just went nuts for that. And then, can we talk about the entrance? The very first entrance at
Yeah.
SummerSlam, just wow.
Yeah, it was the same lyrics as the original theme song, Wyatt family, but made so much more horror like. I think that's where a large portion of the fan base for the Fiend came in. The Fiend or Bray Wyatt is a lot like other. I'm not gonna say everybody, but a lot of wrestling fans also love horror movies in addition to wrestling. So you take that mix of pro wrestling and horror, put them together, it was just magic.
Yeah, and I love how they really built the Fiend up to be like this superhuman, like this almost like an Undertaker figure, but Bray Wyatt's own Undertaker figure, or even though he wasn't really the Undertaker, but
Yeah. Uh, it was a really, the Fiend was one of the best creations. And I'll tell you this much. Yeah, when he came in 2019, it was awesome. And I'm not just, even though we're here to pay tribute, I'm also going to talk about the highs and the lows with Bray Wyatt because I mean, that's kind of what we're doing. It's not I'm not dissing him. I'm just saying,
yeah,
I think one of the most what the hell moments was Hell in a Cell 2019.
yeah, the very first Universal title match for Bray Wyatt when he battled Seth freaking Rollins for the Universal Championship, and the match itself was great, but like the last 5 to 10 minutes of it was just horrific and stupid because uh,
Yeah.
the Fiend kept kicking out and Rollins kept doing whatever he could to keep him down. And when Rollins went too far, the ref called for the bell, which I'm like, what the hell? It's not. It's Hell in a Cell. There's no disqualifications. There's no way to stop out the match. I mean, I get that referees are there to protect superstars from themselves, but I mean,
That was booked though, and I'm like, this is there was no sense behind it. They didn't know what they were doing forward for sure. And the fact that that red lighting did not mesh. It, people there live said they couldn't see, and people watching at home, while they could see, it was definitely not easy on the eye.
I can't imagine what it would have been like if he had the red light. And we were there. I mean, the red lighting itself wasn't all that great. I'll admit it helped brought the Fiend to life, but at the same time, I can't help but feel like it was kind of a downgrade. But speaking of downgrades, their rematch at Crown Jewel was WWE's attempt to rewrite the wrong that they did at Hell in a Cell. While I get that they were trying to do that, that you can't really undo what you did.
Yeah,
But the result is still fantastic nonetheless. That
yeah.
Bray Wyatt won his second world title, that being the Universal Championship, and bringing it over to SmackDown.
Not to mention it was Halloween
Oh,
Universal.
that's right. I forgot it was Halloween night that night.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that very vividly. And yeah, so while you're right, I already screwed up enough, and they did do something good by bring, you know, putting the title on him, and he won it with that man of law, which he got the blessing from Mick Foley to use. Um, but yeah, and then what was it? The next feud he had was actually me and you were at TLC 2019 when Daniel Bryan returned after Bray Wyatt had put him. I believe it was like through on a SmackDown like a few weeks prior. He put like Daniel Bryan through the ring, started tearing the hair off of him.
Yeah, he did. He like came out from under the ring and then dragged him inside, and then just like ripped his hair out, and then which inevitably led to The Miz of all people. The Miz, the last guy you would expect to go after Daniel Bryan to seek he can find him, but ultimately just got Bray Wyatt's attention, and it led to a match between Bray Wyatt and now I say Bray Wyatt, not the Fiend. And Bray Wyatt himself was there because
Right, which is not the only time, but one of the very few times we've seen Firefly Funhouse Bray wrestle in a match.
yeah, we were both there for like that match for me was probably one of the greatest things I saw because that was my 21st birthday.
Yeah, and yeah, that match was. I think I was a little disappointed. Pay-per-view, and it wasn't even for the Universal title.
Yeah, that's true. That is one of the biggest downgrades is that it wasn't for the Universal title, but and even though Bray Wyatt won the match and the Fiend did appear on the Jumbotron and they got that giant mallet, but the way Daniel Bryan came back and then started feuding with Bray Wyatt right afterwards was probably one of the best rivalries I'd seen in a while. I mean, they had a fantastic strap match at the Royal Rumble right before the world shut down.
Yep, that strap match was good. And then bring back really quick to 2019. I remember just seeing Daniel Bryan running, and when he had that maroon hoodie, and that's the color. And then I just remember that running knee, and I was like, oh yeah. And then he had it, like the hair all down to a buzz cut and everything. Yeah, it led into a great strap match at Royal Rumble, as you were saying.
And now this is where we talk another low for Bray Wyatt is like right after his feud with Daniel Bryan, he starts feuding with Goldberg.
This is one of the saddest parts of the whole story, I gotta say, because the Fiend had so much momentum, and they even with the mistake they made at Hell in a Cell, just so many months prior, they were really righting the wrong, and then this happens. And I'll tell you right now, I for one, and I know I'm not the only. That was disappointing. That was really disappointing. After they've built up the Fiend to be like unstoppable. He took like what was it, like 32 curb stomps at Hell in a Cell prior. Like they made him like undefeatable, and then he loses to a spear and a jackhammer at what was it? Not Super Showdown or whatever it was.
Yeah, you're right. It was Super Showdown. It wasn't Crown Jewel. It was Super Showdown. My bad.
No, you're good. And I just remember he won, and I just remember, there was some upset about my TV. It was crazy. And it was all because they just wanted to have Roman versus Goldberg at WrestleMania. And that didn't even happen because of COVID. Reigns' compromised immune system. We ended up getting Goldberg versus Braun Strowman at WrestleMania, where I don't think if COVID happened, I don't think Braun Strowman would have ever been Universal Champion. But after the Fiend lost the title and his feud, he reignited his feud after so many years with John Cena.
Yes, which led to possibly the strangest match in WWE history. Strange, but entertaining nonetheless. I mean,
I'll tell you this: when I was watching that match, I was like, "What kind of drugs am I on right now?" Because this is like I'm tripping on some. And I don't take drugs, but I'm like, this has got to be what happened. This is how people describe it. You're like, what the hell am I watching?
and I was like every segment just got weirder and weirder. Like the first segment was right towards the beginning of John Cena's entrance, and then it gets cut to the Firefly Funhouse. That was where we see Bray and John Cena go through the door or through the Firefly Funhouse, and then it's a callback to John Cena's WWE debut when Kurt Angle issued an open challenge, but Bray Wyatt's the one who's cutting the promo.
Yeah, a lot of really weird, but it was like a mental game that Bray Wyatt was playing with John Cena, and then you had like they had like the throwback to the '80s where it was like Saturday Night Nitro, or not Nitro, Saturday Night Main Event, and then they were kind of Bray Wyatt and John Cena, they were kind of doing this like remake of the Powers of Pain, Macho Man, and then the part that was weird was John Cena acting as an NWO member. I remember being like, "What is this?"
I freaking loved that part. That part was one of the most, to quote the Vince McMahon puppet, "This is such good."
Yeah, and then the weird part is John Cena come out as NWO, and then Bray Wyatt was like Eric Bischoff, where he's like, "I love you too, I love you too." It was like the whole thing. It makes sense. It was just like makes you think, like we never would have met. They would have just had a regular match in front of the 70,000 fans. It makes you wonder what would have WrestleMania, WrestleMania 30 would have looked like if it wasn't for COVID, But it was definitely something. And then after Bray Wyatt, John Cena there, who I think it was Braun Strowman next, right?
Yeah, but we'll get to that in a second. It's not that I don't want to talk about it. It's just that I want to point something out. The sad part for that is that is Bray Wyatt's only WrestleMania win.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, like his first WrestleMania was WrestleMania 30, where he lost to John Cena, and then at WrestleMania 31, he lost to The Undertaker. He did not have a match at WrestleMania 32, but he did have an iconic moment with The Rock.
Yes, and then at 33, he lost to Randy Orton. But at 34, didn't him and Broken Matt Hardy win the Raw Tag Team titles?
No, they won the Raw Tag Team titles at the Greatest Royal Rumble. Bray Wyatt wasn't even on the card at WrestleMania 34. Or Matt Hardy was, but Bray Wyatt returned to help him win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Didn't Matt, who, there was something about, there was the Andre the Giant Battle Royal that I'm not remembering, but yeah.
And then, 35, he wasn't there, I don't believe.
35, no, he wasn't there. So yeah, that's a good point. 36 was his only win, but it was honestly, it was like a highlight of that WrestleMania for sure.
Definitely.
Definitely.
But anyways, we will get back on topic. You're right. He did start feuding with Braun Strowman because he wanted the Universal Championship back, and their first match was Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman at Money in the Bank, where Bray Wyatt was wrestling as the Firefly Funhouse Bray,
Yep.
and he kept playing mind games on Braun on how he originally got his start. He was the black sheep of the Wyatt family.
Yep. And then Braun Strowman defeated Wyatt there, and then it led into not a Firefly Funhouse match, a swamp. What was it, like the swamp?
Yeah, it was a
fight.
Yeah, it was a swamp fight. Because at that time he was no longer using the Firefly Funhouse character. He was using the Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt.
And this was another addict matchup.
I mean, where it's honestly a forgettable matchup, if you ask me, because it honestly didn't really make a whole lot of sense. But I will say what I did like was how Bray Wyatt used Alexa Bliss to play on Braun Strowman's emotions, because during the Mixed Match Challenge, Alexa Bliss and Braun Strowman were one of the most famous tag teams during the Mixed Match Challenge with Team Little Big.
Yeah. I remember that. And I will say this, that swamp match was it was forgettable. I think I remember on Twitter afterwards so many people were crapping on it, and then people loved the Firefly Funhouse match, and me included, but they were crapping on the Swamp match, and I remember thinking, like if COVID wasn't a thing, or pandemic wasn't going on, I would have been like, what the hell is this? But during that time, I actually enjoyed the cinematic matches. That's just me personally, and that one, I actually enjoyed. I think it was when it comes to cinematic matches, the Firefly Funhouse match overshadows it, but that Swamp match wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, and then and Braun Strowman disappeared for a couple of weeks, and then the Fiend reemerged and attacked Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, yeah,
Because she was trying to get, because Nikki Cross was actually going after Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship at the time. And
yeah,
when it looked like Cross and Bliss were going to break out, the Fiend showed up and attacked her with the Mandible Claw.
yeah. And then we got that's true. And then moving forward, was Randy Orton next, or was there somebody that I'm missing?
No, it led to Braun Strowman and Bray Wyatt in like a no holds barred match at SummerSlam during right when the Thunderdome showed up.
Right, because the Thunderdome didn't show up until SummerSlam 2020. That's right. Which again, the Fiend had lost the Universal title
He won it back.
a week later, which this is another top is still all over 3 years later, but yeah, so it led into that, and it was Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam. Bray Wyatt retained at SummerSlam. Roman Reigns returned, spearing Bray Wyatt, and then Payback was a week later. Triple threat match. Roman Reigns wins new Universal Champion. And now you're going to have to remind me what was next. Was Randy Orton next, or am I still jumping too far ahead?
And after that, Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss actually started to team together because
Right. Okay, that's right. This is super hazy during this time when it comes to it, because I was not a fan of. I just was mentally checked out at this time with.
I know Hayfee, so I can hook you up. The draft came, and up next, the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Alexa Bliss were both moved to Raw, away from SmackDown and away from Roman Reigns the Universal title. So they went to Raw. Like the week after the draft, the two of them were just sitting in the ring thing, and then and Retribution came out. Does anybody even remember that faction?
They had a lot of potential, but it didn't make any sense.
I'll be honest, that segment was probably the only highlight of Retribution's career, because the way that the Fiend and Alexa started the show, and then the way that Retribution came out, I honestly thought that was pretty cool. What would have made it even cooler is if they actually tried to recruit Alexa Bliss and the Fiend Bray Wyatt to Retribution, but instead of Mustafa Ali being the leader, he would hand over control to them. Now that honestly sounds like something that would have been interesting to see.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like I said, while I watched back then, it was just like, the only reason I was watching is because it was I knew. That was some normalcy.
Yeah. So, right after Bray got moved to Raw, he started feuding with Randy Orton.
That's what I remember. That's where I really start to pick up remembering again.
And this was like when Randy Orton was bringing back his Legend Killer gimmick, because he was feuding with Drew McIntyre at first.
Yep. And then champion for a month before Drew McIntyre got it back.
Yes, that's true. And Randy started targeting Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss, and which led to a shoot, I forget what the hell what the match was called, but
it
was the only way to what?
When they had all that fire in the Thunderdome?
Yes, when they had all that fire in the Thunderdome and Orton and the Fiend.
He literally freaking Bray Wyatt there, and he lit his whole body on fire. Oh, I just remember that was like, oh my God, this is just a straight up murder scene.
I think recreate the magic that happened when Randy Orton lit The Undertaker on fire, but that's not the same thing because he lit The Undertaker on fire while he was in a casket.
No, and that's the other thing too. They wouldn't have been able to do this if there was audience. Sorry to burst people's bubble. That was a dummy of Bray Wyatt.
That was
people.
Then Bray Wyatt went on a little hiatus
He did.
Where Alexa Bliss had started feuding with Randy Orton. Like he and she started playing mind games with him. She threw a fireball into his face.
Yep. She was doing a lot of mind games. She cough up black, whatever that black stuff was.
Oh, hold on. Michael, hold on here. Let me see if I can get him to join. Hey, he's unable to join. And must be something going on in his end. Michael, if you can hear us, I'm trying to get you on. I'm trying to get you to join, but if you're not able to join, then why don't you just write down comments for it and we'll read it out to you. Yeah.
But then the Fiend back at Fastlane, I believe, 21.
Yes, during the match between Alexa Bliss and Bray Wyatt. Not Bray Wyatt. Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton at Fastlane.
Yep.
Which is kind of a gimmick match.
Huh?
Which is kind of a gimmick match to give a rebirth to the Fiend, Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, because he came back and he burnt Fiend where he was all crisp from TLC 2 months prior. All right. I understand. Got you, Michael.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, the Golden Knight MG night, but that's okay. We'll have soon for podcast. But yeah, so then we had Fiend Bray Wyatt, which led in match at WrestleMania 30, Randy Orton versus Fiend once again.
Actually, I don't mean to cut you off, but I just realized something. The first time they faced off at WrestleMania, you were there. And the very last time that they faced off, you were there again.
When did they face after WrestleMania 37?
No, I mean...
Oh, WrestleMania 33, going back a few years. Yes. I thought of that when I was there. And they were both in Florida.
Yes, for the people that don't know, Maximania has actually been to 4 WrestleMania. It's 33, 35, and 37, which was the last one right when they brought fans in for WrestleMania, like post the pandemic, even though it was still a big thing going on.
Even though it was a big thing, it was kind of strange too because it was only 50% capacity. The stadium was half empty.
I gotta ask you though, what was it like seeing Bray Wyatt's Jack in the Box entrance?
It was definitely crazy, and I'll tell you this much: I actually kind of the whole night was fine, but with that particular entrance, I was a little disappointed because it was so cool when I went home and watched it. But if you know when they do outdoor wrestling, is they have pillars of like the ring or like a covering above, and from where I was like to the ramp in front of me, where the ring was, there was a pole kind of blocking that Jack in the Box thing that was happening. So I'm watching it, and then I just remember I was watching on the screen, but when it was based what everybody saw on TV. But it was a very cool entrance, and I just wish that pillar wouldn't have much. But yeah, it was neat, and I just like when he walked, he had the burned fiend Bray Wyatt mask, and came out on the other end, like it back to his normal fiend mask.
And then he popped up out of the Jack in the Box and then leaped off the top of it to attack Randy Orton. And then, even though the match was short, it was memorable for a few reasons. Because one, this was Bray Wyatt's first match since Brody Lee passed away, and right in between the match, he did Bray Wyatt's signature moment, and I thought that was really cool. So if you saw that live and if you saw that at home, and if you knew, you knew.
Yeah, that was a nice tribute to John Huber, aka Brody Lee, aka Luke Harper. So that was a very nice touch. And then he didn't have a match at WrestleMania Backlash, did he?
No, we'll get to that in just a minute. But I want to talk about the thing that didn't make any sense to me. Yeah, was the ending of the match when Alexa Bliss had that black gunk falling on top of her head, which ultimately led to the Fiend losing to Randy Orton.
Yeah, that was definitely strange and not sure why. Yeah, it didn't even the black gunk didn't fall on her. It was just leaking out of her face.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
But what eventually happened afterward is what really sucked, is that Bray Wyatt was released from his contract.
Yeah. That's right. Okay. Sorry. And also, sorry if my memory's just getting really tired right now, to be honest. But
hey, Daniel.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Somebody said hello to me in the chat.
No, you're good. July 31st was the day he got released. And I remember because I went to SmackDown. One of their first shows back on tour was here on July 30th, 2021. And then I remember I saw that he was released, and I didn't think it was real, just because why would you release someone that was such a big draw, Bray Wyatt, So that just really didn't make any sense to me.
So for 2 years, Bray Wyatt was silent, and hold on, somebody actually is requesting to join in the chat. That we can let you in, but we've only got a few more minutes of this episode. So
My cousin, the Pat Black Funk.
No, it's Daniel Donahue's.
Oh, okay.
All right, hold on, let me get him in.
All right.
Oh, there. Okay, that's the day, but not the system.
It's actually the cosplay of the system.
What's up, Daniel?
What up?
Well, everybody that doesn't know, this is Daniel Donahue, who's the future MAW superstar. He also has his own YouTube channel. So if you're joining us, Daniel, this is the Piledriver Podcast, and in today's installment, we've been talking about the highlights of Bray Wyatt, because today is the 1-year anniversary since Bray Wyatt had returned to the WWE after being released.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I want to talk about the build-up to Bray Wyatt's return. I mean, the start of the White Rabbit. And a lot of people were very skeptical of what that was, but then we kept getting these creepy messages every single week, and then we started getting these QR codes every single week.
Yeah.
A lot of people thought it was Malachi Black or.
Yeah, I remember at first I didn't think. I thought I didn't know who it could have been. I just didn't think him, and then there to a point where I was like, no, this has got Wyatt, because there was too many subtle hints and clues that it was Bray.
And then, which like the very last clip. Well, not like the second last clip. Was at the Raw that we were actually at when I showed up as the Fiend, and there was that giant QR code right as Alexa Bliss showed up.
Yeah, well, then it was all during like a women's contract signing match. Corey Graves was holding a clipboard, and there was a QR code on the back of the clipboard, right?
Yeah, that's where people thought I was at plans. Like Daniel, you weren't there for that Raw, were you?
No, I was at the one from 2016.
Oh, okay, but we're talking about from Raw last year when like the go home show for Extreme Rules last year.
Oh, last time I saw Bray Wyatt was at the XL Energy Center in St. Paul back in like 2017.
Oh yeah, that's the one when we were talking earlier about the Randy Orton burned down the Wyatt compound.
Yeah, I was at that one.
Yeah, I remember that. I was there too. So was Bruce.
But now let's talk about his return last year. Like last year, his return is what blew up the internet. I mean, this is right after the fight pit match between Seth freaking Rollins and Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
And then the lights suddenly went out, and all of a sudden you started hearing, "He's got the whole world in
And then
his hands."
yeah. Yep. And then you see that door pop up. When you see the door, they cut to different corners of the arena, and you saw Huskus the Pig, was it Abby the Witch, Mercy the Buzzard,
Husker the Pig.
Yep. And then you're like, here he comes, and then here comes Bray Wyatt, and that was it for Extreme Rules.
You forgot
And then
Rabbit.
the White Rabbit, yeah. I knew I was missing one. I knew I was missing one of them. But then the
And we're missing the Fiend mask was on Michael Cole and Corey Graves.
True. Then you go forward to SmackDown the following week, and you had one really emotional moment where Bray Wyatt comes back, thanks the fans for not giving up on him, and how the fans were his motivation to come back and stuff.
Then we go into his very last feud of his WWE career, and that would be against none other than the megastar L.A. Knight. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that led into a match at Royal Rumble earlier this year.
Pitch Black match.
Yes, the Mountain Pitch Black match. But before we talk about that match, I want to talk about a really cool moment that happened right before that.
Raw
30.
Yeah.
I mean, LA Knight's coming out talking about how he's going to destroy Bray Wyatt. He calls out somebody to fight, and who comes out? The American Badass, The Undertaker.
Yeah. That was a really cool moment. And then, then you have Wyatt out there, and The Undertaker whispers something to Bray Wyatt, and we will never know what it was. He never said what it was, and Undertaker will ever say either. But apparently, whatever it was just a moment that the two are able to share.
And then we come to full circle with the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match between Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. And I'll be honest, that match, it honestly felt more like a laser tag neon on.
Yeah.
Like Daniel, you saw that match, right?
Yeah, I saw the match, and Uncle Howdy showed up.
Yeah, like right after the match. But I gotta admit, I did like Bray Wyatt's attire that night. He had the glowing face, all that jazz, and he had like the added in fangs into his mouth. Then the two gray lines in his beard honestly made it look a little bit more creepy.
Yeah, it was an interesting match, and I thought it was okay. You know, it was definitely unique. But yeah, interesting is a word I would use to describe it. And then, you know, you have a couple more matches of Bray Wyatt's. I think the last time, I think it was like late February. Last recorded match is at a house show in Rockford, Illinois, against Night. So they were doing a little bit longer on televised shows. And then you come to WrestleMania 39, where they were planting the seeds for Bobby Lashley versus Bray Wyatt, but Bray Wyatt ended up not being WrestleMania due to an undisclosed injury.
Now, then we come full circle. You see, Bray Wyatt had actually caught COVID earlier this year, which led to him having a heart condition. And doctors recommended that he wear a heart monitor on him at all times. And apparently, he had it off when he died because he had to take a nap in his home, and his alarm was going off, and his wife came to check on him, and he was just straight up blue. And
On August 25th, 2023.
like the day right after Terry Funk passed away too.
Yep. August or 24th, 25th, one of those days. I remember, yeah, it was a Thursday. I think it was August 25th. And then we all hear the unfortunate news, and it's something I didn't believe at first. I thought it was.
It still doesn't seem real, though, that one of the most creative minds in WWE is no longer with us. I mean, Bray Wyatt was one of the most unique and entertaining characters in all professional wrestling. I mean, the fact that he got to do his last few things with his brother, Bo Dallas, who we all know as Uncle Howdy. Bo Dallas has got to be Uncle Howdy. There's nobody else who it could be.
And now, going forward, I just read something today. I don't know how true it is. There is talk of bringing the Firefly Funhouse back to TV and possibly having Uncle Howdy, aka Bo Dallas, be a part of keeping this going. Now, here's where I see it, where this could go one of two. If they can be creative and keep this alive and also be respectful and have the blessing from JoJo, the rest of Bray's family, and they can make it creative, I'm down for it. But this could either go good or this could go bad. I don't really see it as an in between. So if they're gonna do this, I think you have one shot to do it.
I got one last question I want to ask you guys before we call it a day. What is your guys' favorite moment from Bray Wyatt's career? Daniel, we'll start with
you. My favorite Bray Wyatt moment was when he showed up in Hell in Cell 2014 when Dean Ambrose cost him the match from Seth Rollins.
That's a good one.
All right, Max?
Mine has got to be Elimination Chamber 2014. That match was, again, it's something that when they announced it was going to take place at Elimination Chamber and we were going to be there, it was something I thought was a WrestleMania match, and it lived up to the hype. That was chaos, anarchy, and all around great with both of those teams, and it was magic, and it's something I'll remember forever.
And what about you, Bruce?
For me, Bray Wyatt, my fondest moment from Bray Wyatt's career is gonna have to be hold on a second. Shoot, okay.
Guys, we got the Golden Knight MGG right as we're finishing up, though. He is here in the house. But Bruce, talking about your favorite Bray Wyatt, continue.
Yes, my favorite moment from Bray Wyatt's career would have to be Elimination Chamber when he won the WWE Championship from John Cena, and which led to him having an epic feud with Randy Orton. So that, to me, is probably my favorite moment of his career.
I love that too. It was he definitely deserved it. You know, John title a month early. As all know, I'm a massive John Cena fan. So as much as it kind of stunk to see him lose a title, he had already been champion 16 times. That much of a heartbreak, and you know, it was definitely refreshing and well deserved to see him win his first world title. So he definitely deserved it. And Mike talked about, we had gone over Bray Wyatt's career. It had been 1 year exactly since he returned. But now that we got you, favorite moment of Bray Wyatt's career, what you got?
Sorry. My favorite moment of Bray Wyatt's career was him winning the WWE title at Elimination Chamber as well, being his first major title like in the company. Outside of all the other titles he's won, I gotta say, yeah, the WWE Championship win at the Elimination Chamber when he caught AJ Styles and did Sister Abigail.
Yeah, you know, that moment plays in my head as Bruce said it and then you said it. I was like, yeah, it was once he caught him and got it. And I'll always remember Mauro Ranallo on commentary he was calling that matchup. It was great.
And Bray Wyatt, we just want to thank you for the memories that you've given us. You've made all of our childhoods very awesome. You entertained us for so many years, and for that, we will never be able to repay you, and for that, we will never forget you. So you've still got the whole world in your hands. May you follow the buzzards to your next journey, wherever that may be.
Yep. And as it looks like, I think we might have lost a bad connection. But as Bruce was saying, thank you, Bray. While you may be gone, your memories will never be forgotten, and you will continue. As we can just all the moments say, man, he has created enough moments and matches for his legacy to continue.
From all of us here at the Piledriver Podcast, this has been and Daniel, this has been an MGG, this has been Max Mania, and this has been Macho Hype Man. Saying thank you and run.